Now, the ANC Youth League is hosting their National General Council in the Northern Cape starting today until Saturday. The NGC happens against the backdrop of the killing of the Limpopo PEC member Nkateko Mbhoma, who was gunned down on Monday. Now, the party's Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, is expected to attend when the NGC closes. SABC News reporter Ulrich Hendriks is there for us. More on this. Ulrich, good morning. So, the very tragic news of that delegation from Limpopo that came under attack. But of course, yesterday when that news developed, some of those who were in the same vehicle were still shaken. But do we know anything more about that incident? And then, of course, what's to be expected today?
Hi, good morning, Sakina. Of course, very sad news yesterday coming through that a PEC member from the province, from Mpumalanga, had died. While the leadership of the ANC Youth League yesterday, of course, saying that was pure criminality, that this was an area where the shooting happened, was where, it's known that there are a lot of Zamazamas, and so they do not expect it, or they do not think that it is politically motivated. Well, here at Mitas, of course, where they were traveling to, about 4,000 delegates will, over the next couple of days, discuss policies. We know there's a lot of issues that affect young people, unemployment, access to the economy, but also to, higher and tertiary education. We're not going to waste time. Let's speak to the ANC Youth League chairperson in Northern Cape, Venus Magage. Of course, also the MEC in the Northern Cape. Chairperson, tell us, we know the issues facing young people. You're going to have the next 3 days discussing those issues. What are you going to contribute to this NGC?
Thank you very much, Ulrich, and good morning to the viewers of SABC. I think it's quite an exciting time for us as a province to be hosting this second historic National General Council of the ANC Youth League, and for it to actually be happening in the Northern Cape, a province that is normally a forgotten province. We are normally not seen as a province that has capacity for hosting. But the next 3 days are quite crucial 3 days, because they are 3 days which we should use to really look at the policy positions of the ANC Youth League, whether they are working, review them from the last national conference that we had in Nasrec, and look at what works for us at the moment and what we possibly need to change. Ulrich, the highest or rather the main point of discussion in this NGC should really be the issue of youth unemployment. I mean, it sits at staggering rates at this point, and we need to look at means on how we address that, both with our deployees in government and with the private sector, of course. One of the issues that we've really been looking at as the ANC Youth League, and we'll need to take stock and see whether that has been implemented or not, is the issue of beneficiation. This country is very wealthy in minerals. The province of the Northern Cape is very wealthy in minerals. 80% of the world's reserves of manganese reside here in the province of the Northern Cape, but only less than 10% of that is beneficiated in the country. And we believe that if we introduce beneficiation at a larger scale, we will be able to address the issue of youth unemployment. Of course, that comes with addressing quite a number of challenges, one of which is grid capacity. I know there is work in terms of the Department of Energy in terms of improving the grid capacity, but we think more still needs to be done in order for us to introduce this at a rapid race. But one of the issues that we will really be looking at as well is the issue of access to tertiary institutions, access to funding, but also the skilling, the type of skill that is being taught in these higher institutions of learning. In the case of the Northern Cape, you have a number of young people who sit at home as graduates, skilled, but because the labor market does not offer anything for them, and the skills that are actually demanded by the labor market are not really produced in the province. That's something that we really need to look at. The Solplaiki University needs to look at how we can introduce mining engineering, for an example, because of 57 mines that we have here in the province. We have independent power producers, and we need to start producing skills that speaks to that. Also, the issue of DTIC trying to introduce the listing of student debt under the National Credit Act. We strongly feel, as a province of the Northern Cape, that is an issue that we strongly need to condemn, because students already have a barrier in terms of entering higher institutions of learning, have a barrier in terms of garnering funding, and now you want to list them on under the Credit Act after they are done with their studies, which really hampers their growth and might potentially impact on them getting employment. But I think as a province of the Northern Cape, one of the issues that we'll really be sponsoring in this NGC is some of the structural reforms that we think needs to take place, especially in terms of your national treasury. I know I'm the of provincial treasury, but I think this is something that the ANC Youth League nationally has to really look at. It's how the allocations are done to provinces. As a province of the Northern Cape that is very small and has a very small population but very vast in terms of distances, we then have a difficulty of how the allocation is done to provinces, because it hinders you on implementing some of the infrastructural and economic programs that you have as a province.
Thank you very much, Venus. Blenis Makake, of course, chairperson of the ANC Youth League here in Northern Cape, and MEC of Tourism and Economic Development in Northern Cape. You can see she's very passionate about that issue. With that, back to the studio, Leanne and Sakina.
Well, thanks so much, Ulrich, on that story for us throughout the day.